Hello and welcome to the Capital Games Movie Club. I'm the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Zero. We are here today to talk about the 2001 Ron Howard film A Beautiful Mind, starring Russell Crowe, Chris Plummer, and Jennifer Connelly in her Academy Award-winning role. This is a movie about the story of mathematician John Nash. It's an interesting story. I saw this when it was in theaters in 2001, and I really liked it. I'm now curious as to what you thought of the film. So tell me what you think of A Beautiful Mind.
It was kind of an interesting biographical film, especially just with regards to uh, the fact that this is kind of a screenplay inspired by the novel of the same name by Sylvia Nasser.
Yes.
So, yeah, just overall an interesting film and everything. I'm not really too familiar with John Nash, so just um, it was kind of interesting, sort of seeing his paranoid schizophrenia sort of develop as the movie went along.
Okay. So that is a spoiler, but okay, that's fine. That's fine. We'll get into that in spoilers. Okay. Yes, it is. It is an interesting biopic. The film did a lot, some things that were pretty different that a mainstream audience was used to, in terms of story structure and the way that the film mixes and weaves between different types of genres. But it is led by, I believe, a really good performance by Russell Crowe, and people, I think, are more familiar with Russell Crowe as Gladiator, Maximus in Gladiator, and the physically imposing, domineering type of character that he played on that. They're used to him because that's his most popular role. But a lot of people don't recognize. I think there's better performances, such as The Insider, and as this movie as well. Like, this is a really good performance by him. He plays a asocial, kind of meek but arrogant mathematician in this, which is completely the opposite of what made him a popular actor, which is the rough, brash, physically imposing, violent, hair trigger tempered kind of man, like he did in L.A. Confidential, one of my favorite movies of all time, and Gladiator. So his performance specifically is very good in this. Another performance I would have to give is also Jennifer Connelly. Jennifer Connelly, before she did this in popular mainstream movies, she was more known for career opportunities. Think movies that when she was more of a teenager, where she was popular, or she was playing teenagers, is probably where she was most popular. But before this movie, she did other films. She was in Requiem for a Dream. She was in oh man, I just had it. Oh, she was in Dark City. She was excellent in Dark City. Her doing tough roles or movies that are beyond the mainstream is something that she was used to. But she also was very good in this, I thought. And this was a role that didn't need a great performance, but it really helped the film at the later stages of the movie. So, like in most movies in biopics, when they have the love interest, that's all they are, a love interest. But they do more with her character than in most, and that's also due to the story of John Nash. So that's a good performance. What do you think of the performances?
Yeah, just love Jennifer Connelly as Alicia Larde, especially because just she's witty and clever in the beginning of the movie, and then just she's kind of like a very stable rock to John Nash towards the end and everything. So yeah, just her role was very dynamic, and it's like you said, just typically when some movies will kind of throw a love interest, it'll just kind of be, yeah, that's all they're there for. They don't really have much other of a role, just other than being the love interest. Whereas Connolly's performance as Alicia Larde is very dynamic.
Paul Bettany and Ed Harris had good performances in this too, but they were kind of one-dimensional. But we'll talk about why that is in the spoilers. But yeah. After rewatching this, did you see this movie before?
No,
Okay.
this was first time.
Okay. I'm gonna stay away from spoilers in this, and we'll talk about it in there. You know what? No, I'll save that for spoilers. We'll save that little chestnut. This is the film that Ron Howard won the Best Director for. I'm not entirely sure why, to a certain extent. I mean, it's a great movie. It's a great movie, and you need to be a very talented director in order to make great films. I mean, that is true. But did he do something, different in this? Not really. Did he have a different type of style or a different type of way, an interesting way of directing the film that needed praise? Not really. But it was good. I'm not sure why he got the Best Director award, especially with some of the directors that were nominated this year, such as Ridley Scott for Black Hawk Down, David Lynch for Mulholland Drive, Peter Jackson for Fellowship. Well, Peter Jackson, we already knew what was going to happen at that one, and Robert Altman for Gosford Park. Like, these are some really good directors. And looking back, I don't think he deserved the Best Director award on this. I know you probably aren't familiar with the other films, but I just want to point that out. It's a good directed film, but there's no sense of style in it. It's a very it is a rudimentary type of biopic, I would say. That doesn't I don't think it warrants the award that it got him. But then again, this could also be one of these awards where they wanted to honor somebody who was a mainstay in the industry for years before then. So that's probably why he won too. But I digress on that one. Cinematography is good. I mean, it's serviceable, I would say. What do you think of the cinematography and the direction?
Cinematography, it was fine. I mean, albeit it was a bit plain, but that's not to its detriment.
Right. I mean, the cinematography at most did look more highlighting of certain aspects to make you understand Nash and what he's doing. Much more that than have any sense of style or things like that. So, yeah, that's another kind of like, it's all right. Nothing to write home about. But yeah, it's performances, and I think the other thing to discuss is the screenplay, really. The screenplay is very good in this. And it's good in the way that it marries different genres of film, or different genres of fiction, I would say. And how it slowly reveals those different genres without it being, how do I say this? Without it being a form of whiplash when it starts happening.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What you got anything to add with the writing at all?
No, I mean, I thought the writing was fine and everything.
Yeah, Akiva Goldsman got the best adapted screenplay for this. So
yeah, I mean, the story is a bit cut and dry, but I mean, it is kind of based on a biography about John Nash. So I mean, that's kind of expected. And the portrayals of some of the events that end up kind of impacting Nash were written in a way that kind of makes the circumstances a little bit more understandable, in sort of a kinetic way, instead of just kind of reading a very cut and dry biography and everything. But yeah, I mean, if anything, I kind of appreciate that this wasn't too overly stylized or over dramatic, especially considering it's following a biography of John Nash.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, and you're probably right. It would be better just to highlight the performances and let the movie flow than to actually do something that might distract from the actual story. But on the other hand, I kind of wish for a little more on a second viewing. I'll be honest, on a second viewing. So I get what you're saying, right? What else? Is there anything non-spoiler you want to talk about?
Not really, because just there's just so much that I think would really encroach onto spoiler territory.
Okay, let's get to it then. We are going to head to spoiler talk on A Beautiful Mind. If you haven't seen the movie, or you're interested in seeing it, you can stop here, watch the movie, come back, and we'll get started on spoiler talk in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So before we get into actual talk, can you guess what the theme of these last two movies?
No, not at all.
Plot twists.
Ah,
There's a reason why I couldn't tell you, because if I told you, then you would look for it. And it's funny that we ended up on these two movies that we did. We did V for Vendetta last week. We did this movie. We did A Beautiful Mind this week. They are a stark contrast to me on how to do a twist right. When we had the twist with V for Vendetta, it was a negative because it killed the character that did the twist. In this movie, it was an absolute positive because not only did they do the twist correctly where it didn't ruin anything, but then on a second viewing, you gain a more appreciation of how the film was done and how the decisions that were made and what the story essentially ended up doing. It made you appreciate the film more through the twist. And the twist, which you said in the beginning, is that it is found out in the middle of the movie that John Nash has schizophrenia. And they do it in, I think, was a very interesting way, because they had you believe, I think, for the first half of the film, that John Nash did help the government in certain aspects. I think that is true. What they led you to believe, though, is that he was part of a bigger conspiracy. And even after watching it a second time and knowing that twist, I still believed it when it was going on, especially when I remember watching it in theater the first time, because I remembered when it was revealed that he had schizophrenia happened, there were still bits of things in my mind going, wait a minute, is this a ploy? Is there something different going on here? I mean, is he a Russian spy? Like, you couldn't believe it at first until the mic drops when Jennifer Connelly's character Alicia comes in with all the envelopes that he was using, that he was making and everything. Like, that's when to me, what I remember back then, that's when I remember that, oh, they're doing something different. And then, go ahead. You want to add anything?
yeah. The veil off moment was when he was in the psychiatric hospital, and they ended up reaching out to Alicia, and they were just like, "Hey, we need to talk to you about his condition." And of course, just the veil off moment on the whole schizophrenia thing was when Dr. Rosen asked her, "Hey, just there is no William Parcher because we've tried to contact the Department of Defense and they don't have a person by that name." And then she's like, "Well, that's impossible. He's been working on this assignment for frickin' ever." Oh, and well, there's another person he keeps talking about. He keeps talking about his roommate Charles Herman, and of course Alicia's like, "Well, yeah, he was in college with him. Just what's the problem there?" And then of course, when Dr. Rosen says, "Yeah, well, we reached out to the college and everything, and yeah, there was never a Charles Herman. If anything, just he's probably been dealing with these delusions since college because at Princeton he lived alone. He didn't have a roommate, so just this schizophrenia thing is very real." So
Yeah.
I was kind of like, it was just like, whoa, holy cow, that is a really serious case. Jeez.
Right. And the twist, like, and the twist like hits you like a freight train when you realize it too, because the film does not hint at it at all. Well, no, that's not true. It does, but it's subtle enough where you don't pick up on it until you realize what the twist is, and then you look back and go, "Oh, so they've been hinting at this." So, yeah. When we talked about it trying to bridge genres, it went from like a standard drama to a romance to then a quasi spy fiction to then a study on mental health to then a redemption story to a certain extent. And to have those different types of I would say this different types of writing styles and different types of movies and fictions that you can have to marry itself that well really is a testament to how well the screenplay was written. Because you would also have to frame maybe this is why Ron Howard got the award. You would have to frame the movie in a way that doesn't feel out of place in any scene at all throughout the film without hinting that something is about to happen. And this movie does that very well. It might do it because of how plain it is, but it still does it fairly well in this, I think. Well, anything you want to discuss about spoilers?
The whole journey through schizophrenia was just really interesting because, of course, just you get into the revelation stage, and then, of course, just when Alicia finally meets John at the mental institution and pretty much says, "Hey, man, that secret mission you've been working on, there was never a secret mission." And then he kind of loses it and he just kind of freaks out and everything. And then you get into the traumatic influence shock therapy scene, which if you're a bit squeamish to just sort of people going into convulsions and stuff like that, fair warning, it's a pretty traumatizing scene.
I think the one scene that bothered me a little bit is when he tried to pick out the imprint. I forgot about the scene, but go ahead.
Yeah, that scene was pretty gory too. And then, of course, just it gets to a point where he's got the delusions and stuff under control because he's being medicated and everything. And then this is where it kind of gets into a depressing arc because just Alicia's kind of finally in a happy place and everything. And then, of course, she's trying to be intimate with him, and one of the side effects of the antipsychotics is it makes him less intimately responsive, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Right.
And so, because of that side effect, he just slowly starts to relapse because he's just like, let's just not take these pills. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And then sort of the relapse phase of the saga gets pretty frickin' wild.
Right.
He thinks that he's back on a secret assignment again. He ends up hurting his wife and almost drowns their infant son.
Oh God.
It's just a whirlwind of a situation, and then we kind of get to sort of like what looks like just the moment where everything falls apart, where just Alicia and Dr. Rosen are talking to him. They're just like, "Dude, you gotta get back on your meds," and of course, he's just like, "No, there's got to be another way to deal with this. I don't want to do meds. I don't want to be institutionalized. I need to deal with this myself." And of course, he sticks with it, and then it just goes off into sort of a great redemption arc and everything.
The way that the relapse was shot made it so I think the way that the relapse scene was shot made it more obvious to the audience of what was going on. So, because some people complain about that scene specifically because, it's so unrealistic. Well, yeah, it's that way because it's all in his head, and they want the audience to know that this is what's going on. like that these are delusions, and this is what happens when you become delusional. That things just pop up out of nowhere, like when she's trying to call Dr. Rosen, where Ed Harris suddenly pops up with a gun, like right to tell him to stop her, and he then threatens her with a gun. Like, that's a highly unrealistic situation there. He doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. But because they did that, it cemented it in the audience's head a lot better that, oh no, what he's going through is real, and these are the circumstances, these are the problems that happen on that. So yeah, that was a really good scene. I was surprised by, actually, in that scene when I watched it again. The redemption arc is good. Like, I don't think there's a bad part to this movie. I think everything about it is solid. It's very good. The redemption arc, I think, is the slowest part, but it's also the most. But I hate to even criticize it because it's still good. It's still a very, very well done piece of movie. It's just, how to put this? You get more emotional in the beginning parts, and then in the middle when you realize what's wrong with John, and then towards the end, you slowly begin to see him get better and better to a certain extent when dealing with his delusions. I guess is what it's meant to be, but it isn't as satisfying as I thought it was going to be. But it's still good. It's not bad. I have no problems with this movie whatsoever. So, for me to look for, I guess, issue, there's really not an issue I have. I guess it's not. Could it be done better to certain circumstances? Maybe. I don't know. But this is a solid film, and I enjoy it for what it is right now.
Yeah, yeah, and the thought on the redemption arc being a bit slow. Yeah, I can definitely agree with it because just it's definitely got a slow burn sort of quality to it, and it isn't until just he ends up being moved to the pen room and everything that just everything sort of comes together and just he finally gets the respect and acclaim that he had been seeking for what feels like all of his life.
Was he, though? Was he looking for that success and acclaim? I mean, success maybe, but not the acclaim. Because he always felt... They made a point in this movie just to say that Nash always felt that he was better than most of his peers, that he was smarter, and everything. And he did prove that to a certain extent. But I don't think he was looking for acclaim. He was more looking at the fact that, yo, bitch, I'm the best here. Better recognize.
Well, I think the claim was more just that he had a truly revolutionary idea, just something that was just completely unique compared to what his peers were doing and everything. So just for him to get into the pen room and then just be recognized by just all the other professors just dropping pens off to him and everything, it was just kind of warming to see just him just kind of humbled that just he had all these people sort of recognizing him for his efforts and everything.
So I do this anytime that is relevant, and it wouldn't be an episode of the Capital Games Movie Club without me doing this. Did you know this is on the top 250 of IMDb?
No, did not have any idea.
Yeah, okay. It's 143. Okay, let me tell you the ones that it beat. Okay, Monty Python, The Holy Grail, Yojimbo, Shutter Island, Jurassic Park, Rashomon, Kill Bill Volume 1, No Country for Old Men, Finding Nemo, Elephant Man, Chinatown, Raging Bull. Jesus Christ, I gotta stop doing this to myself because I'm gonna get an aneurysm. Not that good. I think I would say it's not that good, but it's good. It's definitely a good movie, but I think it's been forgotten for a reason to a certain extent because especially in, I guess, social media circles that I run in and that I constantly am looking at, This movie's never mentioned, ever. It's never mentioned as a great performance by Russell Crowe. It's always either L.A. Confidential or it's Gladiator. It's never mentioned as some of Ron Howard's best. It's not mentioned as Jennifer Connelly's best. It's not. It's never mentioned as something that is considered an all-time great movie. And yet here we are. It's got an 8.2 rating in IMDb, but I don't agree with that. I think it's a solid 7. But okay, sure. I hate criticizing it that much because it is a good movie, but it ain't that good. I don't think it's that good.
It kind of mirrors just how I feel. I feel it's a fairly all right movie. It's something that that I would recommend to a lot of people because it is a bit of a dry movie. And if you're not into sort of biographical pieces, then yeah, just it might be a bit tough to get into.
Is it really dry, or what do you consider dry? I got to ask this because I don't really consider this a quote unquote dry movie. I would consider it more of a standard drama to a certain extent.
Well, I guess to define what I mean by dry is it's a biographical movie, but it isn't hyper stylized. It doesn't over embellish
Right.
because a lot of the critically acclaimed sort of biographical movies end up just taking wild liberties with things.
That is true.
And that's why I typically don't like watching biographical blockbuster movies because I'm just like, okay, how much of this did you embellish? How much of this did you just throw complete spaghetti on a wall to go, hey, this looks cool. I guess we'll do it, and only for the decision to come back years later when the family comes back and sues because you completely fictionalized a claim about a person or something.
Yeah. I mean, look, okay. As much as I've seen a lot of movies, and of course I've seen a lot of biopics, and it's usually the stylized ones I enjoy the most. I'm Not There, I think, is my all-time favorite biopic. It's a movie about Bob Dylan, and it's played by, I think, 16 different actors, all of different sizes, genders, and skin colors. Like, it's actually was really well done, and I thought it was a very good movie. But you're right, that's how most biopics are. They do stretch the truth. They do... I know in a few movies they've edited characters out and turned them in. They turned like 5 or 6 characters into like one character just to fit the story a lot better. I mean, that is what they do. I've just had the mentality now of if it's a movie, it's fiction. You can tell me it's a true story. You can tell me it's based on a true story, based on a real person. Fine, but it's all fiction. That's how I've pretty much resigned to thinking about any type of movie that says that it's based on a true story. And okay, it's fiction because we don't really know exactly what's true. We don't know what's stylized. We don't know what was truncated. We don't know what characters were taken out because it didn't fit the story. That's how I've thought about it. But I understand your thoughts on that because I can imagine watching a movie about someone you're really this was me with Bohemian Rhapsody. I can understand watching a movie about someone that you're really interested in, watching it and going, wait, most of that's bullshit. Like, what? Wait a minute, that's not what? And you don't mention X, or you don't mention Y. What is? Oh my God! Like I can understand that thought process. That's probably why I don't really like Bohemian Rhapsody at all. Other than it is a standard ass biopic about probably one of the most interesting entertainers ever. But I digress. But yeah, I understand. I definitely understand where you're getting from on that. Okay, let's get into our final thoughts. Zero, go ahead.
I kind of stand by my point at the beginning. A Beautiful Mind is a fine movie. Don't expect it to be just something that kind of romanticizes the person that it is the subject of. It is a bit of a dry biographical movie, but that's not to its detriment. And the cinematography, while being plain, it does great to sort of highlight the things that John Nash sees and everything, which is is great because it kind of gives a visual to what's going on in his mind and everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you're not into the thought of a dry biographical movie, then A Beautiful Mind is a bit hard to recommend. But if you like the idea of a biographical movie that doesn't overly go into taking liberties with things, then yeah, give it a watch. You might enjoy it.
Okay. So I'm going to mirror a couple of your thoughts too. It's a fine movie. It's not stylized. It's not really very flashy, but it does have two very good performances that need highlighting. And if you're into these actors and you haven't seen this movie yet, you should. And that's Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly. They do a fantastic job in this movie, especially Crowe, I would say, in this movie specifically. Other than that, it's a solid film. It's a 7 out of 10 for me. Does it deserve the awards that it's gotten? No, I don't think it has. But I still think it's a good enough movie where I'm not entirely pissed it got those awards, even though I think others deserved it more. But, I still enjoy it nonetheless. Good movie, good watch. If you like the actors, check it out. All right, Zero. Usually I have a question for you, but I'm going to make a pivot here. I'm going to ask you, would you want your question, or do you want to go over the new releases from Criterion this week?
Probably question.
Okay, let's do it. I will do. I'll explain. We'll do the Criterion another time, and I'll explain when that is. So let's do our question. So Zero, I have a question for you.
All right.
Did you see the teaser trailer for The Little Mermaid?
No, I did not.
Why don't you go ahead and go onto YouTube and watch it? It's very short. I think it's about a minute long. While I'm talking, so you can go ahead and check that out while we're doing it. The reason why we're talking about this is because this is yet another Disney cartoon movie or animated movie that's being remade into live action. I'm going to be upfront right now and saying I have not liked any of them. I think I was okay with Aladdin, but other than that, I've not liked any of them that have come out. So that you have my opinion on all those so far right now. The reason why we're talking about it now is this has become a cultural kind of conversation of sorts regarding the movie. There are different camps that have different opinions that basically have different feelings as to what they feel about what they saw in the teaser. And again, this is a minute-long teaser, so there's not much to tease out of this. But there have been hours and hundreds of words that have been discussed about this teaser. And I have to ask, Zero, what are your thoughts on the Little Mermaid teaser?
It just looks like just a bare basic sort of live action reimagining, just like a bunch of the other live action Disney movies. And I just have not been much a fan of the live action movies in general. So just unfortunately, this trailer doesn't change my mind on the Disney live action movies and everything. So and on your point of it being sort of a cultural flashpoint sort of a thing,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a shame because Halle Bailey, she's from what I hear, she's a fantastic singer and she's an all-around great person, but it feels like she's sort of been kind of thrust into this unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I kind of feel bad because of the fact that this is just going to be something that people will just kind of keep, I guess, fighting over, even up to the movie's release sometime in May of next year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just after watching it just now, as I said, my mind just hasn't changed about the live action Disney movies. They just seem like very, very, very low effort, of, hey, so let's just literally adapt what we did in the cartoon, but use live action actors.
Yeah.
Everyone will like it. And to kind of be real crass about it, it just feels like Disney is just going, we can shit this right out of our ass, and we'll have people licking right at the brown starfish. It's guaranteed.
You're kind of right on that, actually. If you guys aren't aware of what the big deal about this is, it seems that the cultural standpoint with everybody on this is the fact that it is not just because The Little Mermaid is being turned into a live action movie, it's that Ariel is being played by a black actress. It was, oh God, I got her, Haley.
Holly Bailey.
Okay. Halle Bailey, thank you. Now, there's one thing I could say about that I got from the trailer is that this girl, this person has pipes. Okay, she can sing. So I heard that goes, oh, okay, she sounds nice. So that's not going to be a problem. So that's 50% of the problem gone. There we go. But you are right. These live action retreatments of the animated films have all been kind of bad. So I don't have much faith in it either. But I want to, and you're right. I feel bad for this actress too. Like, she probably just looked at this as a good opportunity to get more fame and everything. And now it's in the middle of a culture war, specifically. And it seems also like it's kind of manufactured to a certain extent too from Disney. Because it seems like Disney kind of knew this was going to happen, and they just threw it out in the wolves anyway, which is fucked, to be completely honest. Because this, to show a 1 minute teaser and everything, doesn't give the actress enough to let people just say, yo, actually, she's pretty good. Maybe I'll watch this. This is just red meat for those people, which is awful to be in. So she's going to deal with a lot of shit that I think Kelly Tran did with the when The Last Jedi came out, and people were not happy with Kelly Tran's character in the movie. Whether you like an actor or actress or not, I think harassing them is a shit move. Like, you shouldn't do that. Sure, call their performance shit. Go right ahead. I don't care. I'll do it till I'm blue in the face all the time. But I'm not going to then go on her Twitter and be like, you are a shit person, you are a shitty actress, da-da-da. No, I'm not going to do that. It's a performance, it's a job. It's fine. People have bad days at the job and have bad performances at their job too. Whatever. It's not a big deal. Okay? Fuck that. I don't care. I don't get the... Here's what I don't get. Oh, I do get it. I should correct myself. I do get where this is coming from to a certain extent, but I find it funny. Much of the controversy stems from the fact that of course, Ariel, who was a white redhead in the cartoon, is now a black redhead in the movie, and people are crying foul by this. I don't know what your thought is of race bending in, that's a crude way of saying it. Or I guess, what's the right terminology here? I mean, it is race. I want to say race bending, but that's also kind of not fair, because that's not what this. I don't think this is what this is. Hiring a different skinned actor for a role is nothing new. It really isn't. And the one I point to, remember the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck in 2003?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know who played Kingpin?
Not offhand.
Michael Clark Duncan, a 6'6", strong, imposing black man. A very good actor, but a black man. Okay? Was there controversy in that? No. Do you know why? Okay, you're not going to answer. I'll tell you why. Okay. So, here's why this wasn't a controversy at the time. When the director when a question was asked, and really no one cared at the time. But now we do, for some stupid fucking reason. But at the time, someone asked, hey, Kingpin is a white, bald guy in the comics. Why did you choose Michael Clark Duncan? And he said it simply as this. We wanted the best actor for the role. Okay? we had the option, and I think he specifically said we had the option of getting a 6'6" professional wrestler who wasn't that good, or Michael Clark Duncan, and I chose the best actor for the role. That's all you gotta fucking say. I mean, that's all it is. If this person is the best for the role, that's all that matters. I don't give a shit. You can, fuck. Okay. I'm gonna get on a rant here. I'm sorry. You know what? Go ahead. Add your 2 cents, and then I'll get into my rant.
On the whole matter of this whole thing being a cultural flashpoint,
Yeah.
um, it's a bit funny because, of course, just Disney has some stories with non-white characters that are the focal point that they could have looked into and stuff like that. Like one of the most underloved of all the Disney stories would be The Princess and the Frog with Princess Tiana. Just way, way, way underloved in the whole Disney princess space, I imagine. And that's got a leading black character in it, and it's just like you've got a whole bunch of rich lore that you could draw from, and just instead you just go for the lowest common denominator approach and just go, oh well, everyone knows the Little Mermaid, let's just do that. It's just like you've got so many opportunities to, if you want to highlight actors who are people of color, just you can easily draw upon the Disney legacy. Just, but it seems like they'd rather just go, well, let's just go with the easiest common denominator because just everyone knows the Little Mermaid. Just this is going to be a guaranteed hit, and now that it's just this whole cultural flashpoint thing, I think just overall, I just really feel bad for Halle Bailey on this whole thing. Just the fact that it's like you said, just she probably was like, hey, cool, this is a role that's got a bit of singing in it. Cool, a great way to kind of showcase my talents and put something down on the books that I've done. And unfortunately, now it's just being turned into this whole like cultural flashpoint now. And it's just like, oh God, I just feel sorry for her because this is probably not what she asked for.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think it is. I don't think anyone could have warned her about this to be possibly, but not as badly as this. Like, this is probably going to be one of the most downvoted trailers ever. Like, it's got 2.1 million downvotes right now on YouTube. And that's excessive. Like, that's like, why? There's barely anything here. What are you doing? I don't think the race switching is the main. I don't think it's the only thing that people are downvoting and are like saying like this is stupid. I think there's a good number of people who are just tired of Disney doing these cash-in remakes. I think that's another part of this. And unfortunately, this actress is going to be caught in the storm because there's going to be the ones that have the issue with Ariel being with black, which, good God, why? Who fuck cares? And there's going to be the others who are like, well, we don't want this anyway. We like the cartoon the way it is, and we don't want it to change, which, okay, I get that to a certain extent. Here's my thing, okay? I'm going to guess that you just think this is going to be another soulless cash-in, and that's it, and what was the point? Is that what I'm getting at with getting by with you?
Yeah, I mean, just I've heard Aladdin's okay, but even still, just being okay for a Disney movie really isn't a mark of good things.
Yeah.
Especially when Aladdin was quite beloved.
Yes.
In its animated incarnation, and then you've got stuff like the Mulan live action, which that was fraught with its own controversy, with a bunch of the actors being anti-Hong Kong independence. So yeah, that had its own problems. But yeah, just overall, I have not heard good things about a lot of the live action conversions, and then just a lot of the trailers just really haven't sold or compelled me to go out of my way and say, I gotta watch this because this looks legitimately interesting.
Yeah.
And then the trend still continues because last week for the D23 reveals, they dropped the live action Pinocchio movie, and just
Oh.
first thing I just looked at, I was like, why?
Yeah. Because they have Tom Hanks on a contract, and he makes an okay Geppetto, right? Who the fuck cares? That's what it pretty much is.
Yeah, and for me, it was just kind of like I just can't imagine this being any good as a live action adaptation, especially just the sequence where just Pinocchio goes sort of on like a delusional trip and stuff like that in the animated movie and everything. It's
Mhm.
just like I just don't see that converting very well from the original cartoon medium into a live action sense, because in the live action sense, the only thing that my mind could even imagine that scene being converted to is some sort of CGI hellscape.
Yeah. No, you're right. Um, okay, I'm going to try and be a little positive about The Little Mermaid to a certain extent. It does have a very good director in Rob Marshall. Rob Marshall did directed Chicago, which is a very good musical. He's also directed a couple of other good movies. So he did Memoirs of a Geisha, which I thought was okay. I thought it was a good movie, at least. So he does do visually appealing movies, even though the I don't find the trailer that visually appealing. It looks kind of plain, a little dark, which is kind of counterintuitive to what The Little Mermaid, the cartoon, was. 'Cause that was very vibrant and colorful. So that's kind of weird to me. My hope in this is that they allow the actress to make the role her own. Do you know what that means, essentially?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for those who don't, basically actors, if they're good enough, they are allowed to make decisions in movies that they're in. Have a character be X way, or do a character does a Y thing, and maybe something's in the script, and the actor it feels like he knows the character a lot better, and goes up to the director, and goes, "Hey, I don't think this character would do this. Here's why. Maybe he should do this," or maybe give her the chance to do her own twist on it, and maybe that will work. But like you, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to just take the plot and everything from The Little Mermaid, copy paste, and she's going to have to act and sing the same exact way as it was in the cartoon, doing her no favors at all. That's what I'm worried about. And I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be that great. I think it's probably going to be I don't know if it's going to be a train wreck. I think the Beauty and the Beast remake was a complete train wreck. So was Lion King. But I don't have faith in it. Just like you, I have no faith in this being any good. So, yeah, that sucks. And like you said, I feel terrible for this actress, because unless she wows people, which she could do that. Unless she wows people, she's going to have a very hard time, finding more work or getting respect or getting fans and everything to do her next movie, which would be terrible, because even from the trailer you can see she has talent, So that would be terrible, but it just seems like now this has become a culture war thing, like Captain Marvel and the 2016 Ghostbusters, which fucking sucks. But oh well, that's what happens, unfortunately. I'm hoping for the best, expecting for the worst. That's basically. Okay, Zero, we are at the end of this episode, but before we go, we have a couple of announcements to make. Normally, we would talk about what we're watching next week, but we're going to take a little break, and we're going to take a break. Me and Zero are going to take a break. Zero has some important stuff he has to do, so he's going to bow out for a little bit. You will be back, Zero, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, so Zero will be back. But what I will do then is I will probably update this maybe once a week, maybe a little more frequently with movies I've been watching or maybe topics that are going on in the movie industry right now. I will update this by myself for the time being, and we'll see how that goes from there on in. And when Zero is ready to come back, I'll announce it on one of the episodes, and we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, on that note, that will be the end of this episode of the Capital Games Movie Club. Tune in next time where I talk about a movie or topic that goes on in the movie industry. I am The Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
We'll talk to you all next week, or next time. Oh, I almost did that. Next time. Bye, guys.